So moving to Nigeria last year was the best decision I've ever made, hands down, but I would be lying if I told you it was completely smooth. It never is when you move countries, and I've moved countries a few times. In this video, I want to come clean about the things that I found challenging about moving here and adjusting to life. If you've ever moved to a new country, whether it's from Nigeria or to Nigeria or from anywhere to anywhere, I'm sure you can relate, so let me know in the comments and let's get into it. Number one, I stand out very much. Obviously. Yes. And I myself am actually quite shy. Like, I don't know how I got into talking to the camera. Somehow I did, thank goodness. But it's being open and talkative is not something that comes naturally to me, especially in social situations. Oh! So, when people see me, they often will acknowledge me. They'll come up to me, they'll want to talk to me, or they'll be like, "Oh, you bo, you bo," and it's never malicious. It's always with interest, and if you engage, you end up having some really amazing conversations and making great friends. The problem is, I get overwhelmed very, very easily. I don't know if you guys have seen me wearing that overstimulated t-shirt, but that's like my life. If I'm going outside, I know that like it's going to be quite a sensory experience. Neither good nor bad, it is what it is. And also, I would like to just like acknowledge here that I have built this whole brand, this whole Zoe Arike brand, off being different. So at the end of the day, it's a blessing. On that note, subscribe, please. Thank you. Number two, the food here is really different to what I was used to eating. Now for context, I lived in Vietnam. Not only did I live in Vietnam, I also ate locally. Vietnamese food is very different to I think Nigerian cuisine in general, and specifically Yoruba food. Like, I have to also clarify, most of what I've been eating here is Yoruba because my babe's Yoruba, our family here is also Yoruba. The point is, it was really different. I wasn't used to the way people cook and the ingredients they use. And I think that like, for human beings, one of the things that makes us feel at home is the food we put in our mouths. I think that's universal. In fact, on that note, I've noticed it has gone both ways. Like, for example, last week I had this really funny moment with my sister-in-law. I opened a bag of coffee beans, and she doesn't drink coffee, and immediately she was like, ah! It was such a strong smell for her. And then I then ground it, and I was suddenly like hyper aware of the fact that I was filling this house with like a smell that was really strong and not really delicious for anyone else in the house, just for me. Oh no! You know, I obviously then ground it really quickly, packed everything up and said I'm very sorry. Also, my babe, we actually met in Vietnam, and that's a whole other story. But I remember him telling me that he found it really hard to know what to eat there because the food that was available was so different to what he was used to at home. And now I'm having the reverse thing, right? So yeah, let me know in the comments your own experiences of this. I know there are some people who are watching from the US, UK, Canada, all around. Yes! Give me your experience, I'm interested. For me, the number one different food has been, or like different ingredient, has been palm oil. Oh! Palm oil. I think it's the smell. It has a very strong smell. Not necessarily bad, just strong. And when I first smelled the smell, I couldn't register in my brain that it was a foodie smell. It smelled more like a plasticky smell, which I guess is, you know, the palm, it's from a palm tree. Yeah. It's a distinctive smell. There was also goat meat. I do have to say, I've never been a huge fan of anything goaty. It's still a strong and different smell. However, over time, I've actually come to crave some of these ingredients. What? Not yet goat meat, although I can eat it now, but I'm not craving it yet. But palm oil, I actually choose to cook with palm oil over vegetable oil now because I've kind of come to love that smell that at first for me was so confronting. The human palate is amazing. We can adapt, we can adjust. However, on the side of that though, there has been a few other things that like, just the lack of, I guess, stuff that I just used to consume all the time, which again isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like, one of the things that I haven't been able to find regularly here is Diet Coke, which I shouldn't really be consuming that much of anyway. It's not like it's good for me. And you know, I know it depends on where you are. In Lagos, there's a lot more of this stuff just available, right? Also croissants. Me, I would like a croissant. I would very much like a croissant. Yes! And when I find a croissant, whether it's lunchtime, dinner time, breakfast, anytime, in the middle of the night, 3 p.m., I don't care, I'm going to eat that croissant. Another huge difficulty when you move countries is finding a job. Now, this doesn't apply to me, but it does apply to today's sponsor. Tenalytics. If you're trying to get into tech in the UK, US, or Canada, you already know how tough it can feel. Tenalytics helps you navigate that, using real insight into those markets to help you get ready to apply and actually land the job. So if you're trying to get into tech, or trying to land a job in your new home, the US, UK, Canada, check out the link in the description of this video after you watch this video and get your tech career started. Back to the video. Number 3, the cultural differences. This hasn't been hard. It's just been consistent. Yes. Every time I feel like I understand Nigeria, I get reminded of my arrogance. I don't understand anything.
No.
And it's okay. I would say that this one is like, I wanted to include it because it has been, I guess, a challenge, but I don't find it difficult. I actually find it kind of enjoyable. It's mainly just small, inconsequential things like language. Language is like, even though we speak English, we understand one another, but the way that people in different parts of the world use English is always different. Also, posting people on their birthdays. I never even thought of doing that. Like, to me, if I'm gonna give someone a birthday message and I want it to be meaningful, I'll message them directly or I'll call them. I don't need the whole world to see that I'm wishing this person happy birthday. And so when I first saw people posting other people for their birthdays, I was like, oh, I don't think I would ever want that, but okay, I guess that's how it's done here. However, now that I've had people post me for my birthday and I've posted other people for their birthdays, I understand more. It's I think it's a way of just showing in front of, it's kind of like, why do you get married on a stage, right? It's a public declaration of your love. That was an extreme comparison. But anyway, at first I didn't understand. Now I think I do. Also, wearing bonnets and scarves anywhere. Now this has been a blessing. I don't know if you guys can see, but I actually attempted to braid my own hair. And the reason is because my natural hair is curly and then I chemically straightened, like relaxed the bottom bit. So I haven't been able to re-relax my hair since I left Vietnam. I didn't even do it in Sydney. Like I only trusted that one place. So it's partly because of that. And partly because I kind of want my natural hair back. Yes. However, there is this period in between having your natural hair back and being relaxed where like you have regrowth, right? So I look a bit like a wild crazy woman with like strangely straight ends, which means sometimes having the option of wearing a bonnet or a scarf is a blessing. Yes. I have to say, in Sydney and even in Vietnam, it's not as common to be wearing scarves as accessories. I know that, you know, if you're Muslim, it would be a religious thing, but I mean, people here even wear them just for fashion, right? And I love that. I will continue to wear bonnets and scarves and I guess braids now. Like, you can't necessarily tell, I think, that I have regrowth, I hope.
Number 4.
The bargaining. I have lived in a lot of different countries and I've noticed that when it comes to checking out, when it comes to paying for goods, it's always different. In Australia, I've got to say, it is so easy. Sometimes you don't even have to be talking to a person. Like, they'll have like self-checkout, so you just tap your phone on a robot and move on with your life. Like, there's no social interaction required, right? In Vietnam, it depends. You have some stores with fixed prices. There are also contexts where, yes, you have to bargain. And if you don't know the seller already, they can just make up whatever they want. Obviously, like, it depends on who you meet. You'll get people who would never dream of ripping you off, but you also get people who, for whatever reason, decide to up the price. And so when I moved to Vietnam, I first encountered this whole bargaining thing, the need to have a social interaction with someone and like fight for your right to pay the right price. And it was stressful. Coming to Nigeria, I found this really, really hard, and I still do. Whenever you want to go buy something, unless it's one of the supermarkets with fixed prices, and there are places that do have fixed prices, or it's a seller who you know. But if it's not those two scenarios, then often you are gonna find yourself in a situation where you do have to figure out like how to get the price to where it should be. And if you're not sure where it should be, how do you do that? And then whilst you're doing that, there's like a certain banter you've got to have. You have to have confidence. You've got to have some guts and some oomph. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm shy in real life. I'm so shy. My default is if someone says that that's the price, I'm like, oh, okay. And if it's too much, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll leave, bye. Like, I don't even try because I just don't want the confrontation. I don't know. I'm too timid. So yeah, that's been a challenge and I'm still learning about how to do that. Number 5, being really far away from home. So I've lived overseas since I was 17. Like, I left my family in Australia when I was 17. I went to India. And then since then, I've spent like most of my time in different parts of Asia. I've long been in the habit where like, I will see my family maybe once a year. You know, I'll travel home to Australia to see them once a year. And it's no different now. Like, I'm still overseas and I guess, you know, I could travel home to see them. There is, I say it's no different, there is one difference. I'm a lot further away now than I was. India, Vietnam, Nepal, they're all, 8-hour flights or less from where my family are in Australia. It was also a hell of a lot less expensive.
Yes!
Like, when I flew out here, I chose the cheapest flight I could find, and I flew 36 hours via Korea, of all places, South Korea. Look, it cost me more than I could afford, and yet it was the cheapest option, do you know what I mean? So like, I don't know if I'll see them for many years. It'll just be whenever it's possible. I would like to acknowledge that that is the experience of most people who move overseas. It is a luxury if you can travel back often to see your loved ones. It's a luxury. I'm just a bit too far away. So in short, growing pains is normal when you move to a new country. I think that the one thing though that keeps people in a country, assuming you have the luxury of leaving, right? It's usually the friends you make. And to be honest with you, I say this as someone who's moved countries, like since I was 9, my parents moved me to Australia. I don't think I've ever made so many friends so quickly before. Like, okay, maybe I don't have a huge foundation yet, a huge friend circle, but the people I have met, I think that they are the ones who've kept me here. In particular, my babe Banji, of course. I feel like people in Nigeria are genuinely really, really welcoming. Like, people want to have conversations with you. They want to connect with you. I remember the very first person I met was actually the same sister-in-law I mentioned earlier, who was not a fan of coffee. And now we're really close. I love her. She's like my very own sister, And the second person I met was Chineye. I don't know if she's watching this, but like another example of someone I met very early on coming here. She helped me to feel more at home and more welcomed and just more like this is where I was meant to be. And there have been so many people like that, particularly my beautiful family here. And I'd like to stress that I don't actually have another Oyubo friend in Nigeria. All of these people I'm mentioning are Nigerian. I'm sure there are lovely Oyubos here too.
Yeah.
So, in all, my experience coming here has been challenging with an overall amazing lens. Before we close up this video, I wanted to do another shout out to Tenalytics. Go check them out at the link in the description if you want to get your tech career started in the US, UK or Canada. Please leave me an aeroplane, let's do aeroplane if you got this far, and let me know what your experience has been with like moving countries, or if you ever would move countries, if you're planning to jakpa or move countries and you have fears about what it's going to be like, all of that. Let's meet in the comments and have a conversation. Please hit subscribe if you fancy it. I would love that so much. And as always, thanks, bye.